Hello, it's the Coaster Craze. In my latest coaster review, I'm talking about a sorta new for 2019 ride. This is Firebird at Six Flags America, which is the B&M Floorless conversion for the new year of Apocalypse, which was an awful stand coaster that was at the park. It used to be Iron Wolf at Six Flags Great America, and it was actually the first ever B&M, and it showed. The layout is kind of weak, which of course is still there with Firebird, but it had an insane rattle and just terrible headbanging because of the stand-up position of the seats, and it was just very uncomfortable. I almost never rode it, and it's my home park. So I was very excited when Firebird was announced. So is it much better? Does it accomplish its job? Is it a great floorless coaster? Let's dive in. I want to start by digressing that I've actually only ridden Firebird once, and that was on its opening day. I rode it in the front row, and it was just very exciting after all the construction that I had watched and the many updates on to finally get to ride it. And my initial reaction was sort of ambivalent, to be honest. I liked it much more to the Apocalypse. I can definitely see myself riding this on most visits to the park, but it's by no means a great floorless coaster. Obviously, it's not going to compete with the best like Kraken or Hydra or Bizarro, and it's actually my least favorite of all the ones I've ridden. And I'm going to break it down. So basically, I'll start with the layout, and it's the same as Apocalypse. It's pretty weak. It just has two inversions, a loop and a corkscrew. The loop is very fun, though I think the corkscrew is still a bit of a head jerker, not as bad as it was as Apocalypse. Has a helix that threads through the loop, which you're seeing right now, a not so mid-course brake run, and some other turns at the end. They're kind of just meh. There's nothing really exciting of the layout after that first drop and loop, which are a very fun part of the ride. Maybe that first turnaround, and the corkscrew I guess is exciting, even though it's kind of uncomfortable. There is a fire effect, which you're seeing right now, very cool. But overall, the layout is pretty weak. One unfortunate thing, though, that's a downgrade from Apocalypse is the theming, because there's barely any besides the cool fire element, which you can see right here. It shoots out and has this kind of like Firebird's mouth. Very cool looking, but there's very little like left of the theming, but there's more landscaping. It still looks kind of like a construction site, but it's getting better. It's looking more green, so the scenery is okay, and it looks pretty nice in that area. I'm hoping that when the trees grow in a little more, it'll look even better. Firebird's not going to be the most intense ride, but I did think, especially in that first little section, which is my favorite part of the ride, you pulled some pretty good G's on that drop going to the loop in that first bank, and though it's a very rough moment that's not comfortable, that corkscrew is pretty intense, but the turns at the end I feel like are taken at a bit too slow of a speed, so the pacing's not great on the ride, and overall it's not the most intense ride because some of the turns are taken a little bit too slow. Then again, I did ride it on opening day, so I'm assuming it's getting faster and faster as the summer season begins, so I'll have to go back and ride it to get a better gauge of the intensity. But based on my ride, it's not the most intense, but it's a bit more intense than Apocalypse, and overall that's a fine. This is not supposed to be a crazy intense roller coaster by any means. And the stats are just okay, but I will say it feels a little bit faster than Apocalypse. Next I'm going to talk about the comfort part, which is the most important part of the review based on how bad Apocalypse was. And I will say that the restraints here are like, they're just standard B&M Floorless restraints, so they're not going to be great. You're still going to get some headbang, but it's much easier to stick your head out to avoid them than it is on a stand-up restraint. And yes, there is still a bit of a rattle on the coaster, but not as significant as Apocalypse. I did get off with the slightest bit of a headache, but nothing bad at all. This is definitely a coaster that you could re-ride a couple times, and I did enjoy it by the end. It wasn't a phenomenal coaster, and I'm not going to spend most of my time on Firebird. I'm going to designate it to rides like Superman, Roar, Wild One, Joker, because they're much better, but this is a solid support coaster at the park, and I'm very pleased with this addition. So for my final score of Firebird, I'll be giving it a very solid 6 out of 10. No, this isn't great, but it is above average. It's a fun coaster to ride. It won't leave you with this over-exhilaration after you get off into the brake run, but it'll leave you with a feeling of contentment, and you might want to ride it again. It's far superior to Apocalypse, which is probably more of a 3.5 out of 10. It was miserable, so this is an excellent addition for Six Flags America. Huge improvement. I suggest you guys all go out and ride it. I've heard back row was even better than front, so overall, good job Six Flags America. Make sure to stay tuned for tons more Coaster Craze videos coming soon, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.